Today we're going to be ranking some of the top brands in airsoft. This is one of those videos that I already know is going to lead to a lot of angry comments down below. Now the way we're going to do this is simple. We'll be going S through F tier, and then we're going to have what I call non-applicable. These are going to be the brands that either don't actually make anything or ones that truthfully I don't feel like I can give a rating to. So let's get right into it. So we're starting off with Cyma, and I gotta say, this is a brand that for a while I've always said is a great introduction into airsoft. However, I really, after trying some more of the AKs out there, this is a tough one. I want to put it in A tier, but for now, I'm going to say B tier. And the reason why I say that is because after seeing some of the other options out there, primarily from Arcturus, which we'll get into in a minute, they just have a better feature set than the Cyma AKs. And I thought the Cyma AKs were great because they were a fantastic value. However, you're seeing guns that aren't that much more expensive from E&L and their Essential line that are a little bit more. They're about 50 to 75 bucks more, but they're better. The body quality is better as well. So I feel like Cyma is slipping a little bit. On their M4s, at least they have the quick chain spring system, but everybody knows Cyma for their AKs, right? So we're going to put it in B for now, but it might change as we move on. D-Boys. This is a brand that honestly I don't think is relevant anymore. I can't think of anything that they've put out in the recent history that is pretty good. I'm gonna give it a D tier because it's not the worst thing in the world. It's a legacy airsoft brand. They've been around forever. I just don't think they do anything particularly interesting. Crytek. Now this is a brand that I feel like they've fallen off. They would be an S tier for me. However, they're not really doing anything new. They did a refresh on a lot of their rifles, but still it's nothing that competes with other brands that are making M4s in the airsoft world. They have some unique stuff like the Silencer Co. pistol and things like that, but really I just don't think that they're doing anything super innovative like they were, maybe 8 or so years ago. So we're going to give it an A tier. If you have a Crytek, it's not a bad airsoft replica at all. I just don't think that it's the greatest out of what we've got on here. G&G used to be like the classic beginner level airsoft gun. However, a lot of the stuff they're coming out with lately just does not interest me. That little SMG that came out that's kind of a pistol, kind of a carbine kit, it's okay. It's like a knockoff Great Value MP7. The lever action that they came out with, I don't know who's actually asking for one of those. Like, it didn't seem like anything that people actually wanted, but now that it's out there, it's cool, I guess. We're gonna give it C tier. G&G really strikes me as middle of the road. They don't make anything great on the high-end spectrum, but they do have a lot of affordable options for, your beginner level or your medium level airsoft player. A&K. And this is a tough one for me because I feel like they kind of have the Cyma problem where everybody knows Cyma for their AKs, everybody knows A&K for the SAW series that they have and their PKM, their machine guns. And they're not bad. However, they've gotten way more expensive in the last couple of years, kind of like everything in life, but in particular, these have risen in price without getting much better. They're like $500 now for an M249. I wouldn't mind paying that if they got better over the years, but they really aren't. So I feel like for A&K, I'm gonna have to give it a B tier. Again, I think they have some solid offerings. They offer things that nobody else offers, but I just don't think that they're really worth getting up into A tier. I think that there's better machine guns out there, but again, it's one of those things, you get what you pay for. I don't know a ton about Action Army, so this is going to be my first non-applicable. I know they make a lot of upgrade kits and stuff like that for sniper rifles. That's not really my jam in airsoft, so, can't believe I'm saying this. As somebody who makes videos on the internet, I'm not going to talk about something that I'm not super well informed on. ASG is our next one, and I feel like ASG is another one of those brands that just hasn't done anything super interesting in a while. The other thing is a lot of their products are not made by ASG, they contract out with other companies. The Evo is a good gun, the Scorpion Evo I should say. That's good. I love the P09, but it's a KJW product, so I'm going to put them in B tier as well. I feel like they're solid, but they're not great. ArmorWorks Customs, which is, I want a high kappa, but I don't want to spend high kappa money. I feel like the big issue with this brand in particular is that whatever you buy typically needs modification. I get that people buy Tokyo Marui high kappas with the point of replacing everything to the point where there's nothing original Tokyo Marui left in them. But I feel like ArmorWorks just isn't, they're not great in my opinion. So I'm gonna give it a D tier. I also just don't like what a lot of them look like, which is personal preference, but hey, it's my video. GBLS, which if you're unfamiliar, they make a really cool kind of AEG gas blowback hybrid where it's an AEG with recoil to dumb it down. However, they're awfully expensive. They are beyond what I would ever pay for an airsoft gun. And I think that's the thing about this video before you leave your angry comment for this rating. They're cool, don't get me wrong, but I think for the price point, they're just not great airsoft guns. So like, I feel like there's things that are more effective at either doing recoil or at doing performance, and this is just kind of okay in both realms of that. They're highly realistic, don't get me wrong, but it's way more money than I would be willing to pay. I'm going to put them in C tier. I know that's going to be a controversial one for the people that own these, but you know, it's just not it for me. Bolt Airsoft is one of those brands that has never struck me as something that I would actually want. I know they have some electric blowback offerings, but I think that's a meme. It's not very good. It doesn't add performance, just drains your battery faster. This one, to me, is an easy F. And then we've got Classic Army, which used to be a titan of airsoft. However, again, I just don't think, you know, they're one of those legacy brands that isn't very good. They're not modernizing with the times. You know, there's just much better options out there, and if you're looking for an M4, like, why not buy anything else that you would see on the market? So this is an easy D tier for me. I like that they still make some of their cool offerings like MP5s and other HK products, but they're really hard to find in America. Yeah, so that would be my opinion of Classic Army. I just don't think they're improving at all. G&P, and this is, you know, like, I'm going to try to not be biased because I own G&P products. I have my Stoner 63. However, the Stoner 63, and this will come up in the review, isn't that good for how much you pay for it. Like, it's a good airsoft gun, don't get me wrong, but for 900 bucks, and then you're still going to want to do a lot of changes to it. You know, a lot of people chop the barrel down, chop the stock down, replace it to be saw box mags. It's just okay for being like 900 bucks after shipping. You know, the other thing, G&P M4's the i5 gearbox is just straight up garbage. I do not like it at all. So G&P, you know, I don't know if I can put it up in B tier. I think I'm going to have to give it a C. S&T is up, and while I don't think a lot of their AEGs are particularly good, you know, they do offer variety, and I gotta give them points for that. They have a lot of really cool stuff coming out. I think they're working on an SKS I saw from them as well. This is one where I feel confident giving them... Ooh, I don't know. I want to say C tier. I really do, but I feel like the guns aren't great, but they have unique stuff. I'm gonna put it in D tier for now and see how we feel about that. Our next one up is going to be Cybergun and Spartan, and this is going to be one of those ones that I'm including just to kind of be as a little educational thing. They don't actually make anything really in the world of airsoft. This is one of those companies that contracts out, so you'll see them work with companies like Ares, like A&K, you know, brands like that, Cyma even. So this is going to be one of those ones I'm going to include, because if I don't, I know I'm going to get comments down below being like, why didn't you mention this? It's going in non-applicable, because their product variety is just really, you know, like, it could come from a variety of different brands. And I was doing these in order, but while we're on this, actually, let's just throw Umarex in there, because they source through a lot of different other companies. And EMG we're going to throw in there as well. Ares is next, and they make really the like Amoeba series, which I see is a different one on here for some reason. We're going to loop them together in D tier. I just think that they are okay. They're nothing special. Nothing in their lineup really screams out to me, and the stuff they OEM I just don't think is particularly that good. KWA. I feel like this is a company that has changed a lot in the last 5 years, but not in the way that I would have expected. Back when I first started playing airsoft, KWA was known for their 2GX gearbox, for doing stuff that was highly realistic. They kind of marketed themselves as like training tools. And since then, they have not gone that way. They've gotten more into airsofty type stuff, you know, pistol caliber carbines, pistols that are designed to almost look like Glocks or almost look like SIG pistols, you know, so that you can get around licensing. I just don't think they're doing anything interesting lately. Like, you know, nothing that particularly interests me. I could be wrong, they could be really good airsoft guns, but I'm going to put them in C tier. It's just something that I'm not a huge fan of, personally. And next we've got two that I'm just going to throw into non-applicable right away. Silverback Airsoft is another one that I'm just going to admit that I do not think I know much about, so I just don't want to comment on it and be wrong. And then I don't think Z-Shot is in business anymore. So I'm just going to throw that in there as well. The next brand that we have is going to be King Arms, which is one of those ones that, like, I You know, again, it kind of goes back to a lot of legacy brands. I don't think they're doing anything interesting. They do have some stuff that you can't find anywhere else. Their GP30, for example, which I do own and I like. So I guess they're going to go in D tier, because they make something that I do enjoy. And now we have what is going to be, unfortunately for this video, 2 S rankings in a row. First off is Arcturus. I have my PP19, you know, I have a good experience with the AK-12 lineup as well. These are the best AKs that you can buy. My only complaint with their AKs is that they don't make like normal ones. Like I'd love to see an AK-105, an AK-74M, the, you know, the MOSFETs that come with them, the ability for trigger customization, you know, like your tuning on the trigger in certain models, the quick change spring, their mid caps are great as well. I know that's not what this video is about, but I'm just going to include it in there. These guns are great. I love them. The M4s aren't bad as well. Arcturus is really known for their AKs, but I think the M4s are not half bad. I just wish they didn't look like race guns. It looked like something a little bit more mil-spec. And then our next one that we have on this list is VFC, which for me is still an easy S tier, right alongside Arcturus. And the reason why I say that is there's no better company that offers mil-spec looking M4s than VFC. They have the most variety, whether it be in their Avalon lineup, now that they have basics like, you know, quad rail M4s, Mark 18s, Block 2s, they now have a URGI, the SIG guns that are out there. And VFC's done a ton of investing in their gas lineup as well. I used to not be a really big fan of VFC gas blowbacks, but the more that I see them and the more that I get to shoot friends, I'm starting to like them. And I think that they are eclipsing some of the other gas blowback brands that are out there. So for me at least, these two are easy S tiers. Next we have GHK, and this would have been an S tier for me like a year or two ago. However, and I really like my GHK, I'll preface this with that, you got to replace a lot of stuff. Like, again, it has kind of the high kappa syndrome where you buy it because it's good and then you replace half the crap in it. I'm gonna put it, I don't know if it's an S tier for me anymore, because I feel like VFC does just as good gas blowback stuff now, and they do cooler gas blowbacks. I'm gonna go A tier. I really like my GHK. I haven't had a real chance to play around with the V3 for their AK series. I still have my V2, which I really like. But, you know, like, they've had some quality control issues ever since the pandemic. I just can't give it an S tier, unfortunately. AGM. This is just a company that I don't think makes anything worth buying. Easy F tier, right here. Next up, we have WeTech, which their stuff's just okay, you know? Like, it's not spec with real Glocks for the stuff that they make there. I think they make a P320 as well. I'm going to put them in C tier. Their stuff is just okay. They do have a lot of variety, I will say, but I just don't think it's particularly impressive by any means. Umbrella Armory. And these are really good airsoft guns. Don't get me wrong. That being said, for their price point, that's a lot of money to spend on an airsoft replica. You know, they're good, don't get me wrong. I'm going to put them in A tier, because I feel like you can do better for cheaper, and that would make it an S tier, but also, like, if they did this stuff to machine guns versus M4s, I would be more interested in their product personally. I like the guns that I already have. I don't need my M4 to shoot 40 rounds a second, but if they did, like, custom MGs and stuff like that, I would be in love with it. Valken Tactical. This is the easiest F tier that I will give. I don't think any gun that they make is worth using. I don't think that, you know, like, there's anything that particularly interests me from them. They are the bottom of the barrel that you find in every pro shop because they are so easy for vendors to get their hands on. They have low order minimums. I remember back when I was running a store. I just don't think it's very good, and I think for the same price point or a little bit more, there's a lot better options from G&G, the Arcturus starter gun lineup. I just cannot give Valken an F fast enough. APS has some really cool stuff out there. I don't think it's the best quality. I'm gonna give it a D tier. I know I'm gonna catch some flack for that, but, you know, I just don't think that they are the best out there. And then we have JG after that, which, you know, again, like, not the best quality stuff. I wouldn't call it an F tier, but they have some neat legacy stuff, you know, stuff that you can't find from any other brands. They offer a lot of HK stuff. I think they're the only company that makes an MG36. So I feel confident putting them in the D tier. Again, I think it's just okay sort of stuff. ENL is going to be an A tier for me. It used to be a B or a C tier, but the more that I've gotten to play with them since they've done their upgrades, first off, they feel like real firearms. Holding them side by side with a real AK, they are comparable. They do rust, which is unfortunate, kind of like a real firearm. You're going to have to maintain that. But they're good. They're not as good as the Arcturus AKs. I feel like ENL is more for realism and Arcturus is more for performance. But I think if you're looking for something that feels solid, maybe you're part of the Milsim West crowd, I think ENL is a great choice. We've got Echo 1 on here, and again, this is a rebrander, so I'm going to put it in the non-applicable tier, but I do just want to mention, I feel like Echo 1 has kind of fallen off in the last, 5 to 6 years. They used to be super common. Their Red Star AKs, which were essentially SIMAs with better hop-up buckings, were extremely popular. However, now I never see anything from Echo 1. I don't even know if they're in business, to be honest with you, without checking. But yeah, I feel like they've kind of fallen off. ICS Airsoft. This is another brand that doesn't make anything that particularly interests me. Their split gearbox is neat, but again, it's always in setups that I don't think are particularly interesting to me, or they're kind of space gunny, which just isn't my jam. I'm going to put it in D tier. I feel confident with that. I know some people are going to be upset. Maybe, if they made stuff that I liked, it'd be a C tier. But, maybe I'm just biased. SIG. This is another brand where, it's going to go in NA because they contract out with other people. But I will say, as a firearms company, they've partnered with good partners. The airsoft stuff that they have is high quality. They go with VFC for a lot of their stuff, which is up in S tier already. I think that they made a good decision to choose a really high quality brand because that just translates the quality from them that you'd see in real life. So if you are a firearms manufacturer, go with a good airsoft brand. Don't come out with cheap garbage because it just kind of nobody's going to buy it. It's not going to be successful for you as a business. Might as well go with a higher, more quality airsoft brand. Tippmann Tactical. I want to put it in F tier because I know that'll upset people, but we'll do D tier. And the reason why I say that is their normal AEGs are just Lonex guns. So those are, I'm not going to count those. They're just okay anyways. The Tippmann recoiling M4, I feel like, it works. It's okay. It's neat. I think it's like a cheaper, for me as a player, the amusement from it is like a cheaper GBLS. That being said, they're kind of garbage. They had such bad quality control when they came out, and I get that stuff's been fixed over time, but it still left an awful taste in my mouth. I just never really liked them personally. And they recoiled forward, if I remember correctly. It felt weird. Jag Precision is another one of those brands that I'm gonna put in the non-applicable, and while I see it as well, Matrix is gonna go in there as well, because I missed it earlier. And then the next brand that we have is Lancer Tactical. And I don't know. I would have put them in D tier a year or two ago. However, I've gotten to play around with more of their stuff. And it's not bad. They are improving. But it's just not... I don't know. None of it strikes me as something that I'm particularly interested in. Maybe I know they have that Gen 4 lineup. Maybe if I get an opportunity to check those out, I would change my opinion. But I'm going to put them... C tier might be generous. I'm going to go D tier, honestly. Next up, we have LCT. And this one, to me, is kind of on the same level as ENL. It's going to be an A tier for me. I think the thing with LCT is they're kind of expensive, and you're going to have to replace the things you replace in most airsoft guns. Better hop-up bucking, better motor, better inner barrel if you want to, but they feel so realistic. I think side by side with ENL, the advantage that I'd give LCT is that they have more ZNet code out stuff, and you're starting to see more of this from ENL. There's ZNet code 74U is super cool that I have, but LCT just has way more variety, even though they're going to be in the same tier. Next we have Navrich, which I should put in the non-applicable tab because technically he doesn't make anything from my understanding. A lot of it is contracting out with other companies, but because it's so popular, I feel like I need to talk about it. I like that he's doing some things that are bringing interest to platforms that have kind of been dead for a while, like the AUG, the G36. However, I just don't think any of it looks particularly good, but I mean, in the world of airsoft sniper rifles, if you want something from the factory that is, usable, I think it's not bad. I'm going to catch some flack for that, but His stuff isn't the best out there, but it's ready out of the box. If you went out and bought a Bar 10 or a VSR 10, you're going to spend a bunch of money dumping it in there. I think his stuff is just okay in my opinion. Again, he has some unique stuff. I'm going to give it a C tier. Polar Star Airsoft is on this list, and I'm trying to figure out how to rate it, because I don't think they make airsoft guns anymore. Like, I think they just make their drop-ins. Like, let me look it up. So I'm on their website, and Polar Star doesn't make a rifle anymore. Like, one where it is just like the entire. Like, they used to have like a PR-15, which was like a basic M4 and a VFC body. Looks like they don't make that anymore, according to their website. So I want to put this on here, and for full disclosure, I did not make this list. It'll be linked down in the description below for you to try it out yourself and rank your own rankings. I'm going to put them in the non-applicable because I don't think it's fair to rank them but not rank some of the other HPA manufacturers out there. But I do like Polar Star products. The guys there are really cool. PTS. I don't know if PTS makes guns anymore, kind of like Polar Star. You know, I like their attachments, but we're going to... I gotta look it up. I gotta see if they make anything before I do this. Okay, so I'm on their website, and they do make some rifles and some pistols that I forgot about. I'm looking to see if they say who actually makes them. Let's see, we've got some KWAs. You know, I'm gonna give PTS a C, because again, I do like some of their attachments. The EPMs are good. The EPM ones I'm not a huge fan of. But I guess we can bump it up to a C, so it can sit alongside KWA. Again, this is a brand that doesn't make their own airsoft guns, but they make a lot of accessories. They do licensing, so I guess we can include them. Next, we've got Real Sword, which is an old airsoft brand. However, they are really good. Their SVD is known for being great. I'm going to put it in B tier, because availability is hard, and it's a little dated compared to some other options. Next, we have Sistema, which again, like, used to be the super cool high-end airsoft gun, but I feel like they've fallen off. Like, they're just okay. For their price point, you can build better options. I want to say C or D really badly. I'm going to do C. They are still nice airsoft guns, but they are not my cup of tea, particularly. And then next we're going to do Western Arms. They're good. Again, I feel like they're kind of a dated system compared to the ones that are out there. However, they do perform kind of well, if I remember correctly. I'm going to give them a C tier. And then last but not least, the brand that everybody's going to ask about, Tokyo Marui. And I know what you're going to say. You know, they're the beginning of, like, serious airsoft. They should be S tier. And I could put them there, but I don't think I'm going to, because, at least for the US market, Tokyo Maruis aren't that good. Like, and I know that's a controversial statement, but you've got to spend so much money on them to make them competitive in the US. Like, oh yeah, my recoil shock's great. All it took was spending the MSRP of the rifle in upgrade parts to make it, make it actually worth using at a US field. I'm going to put Tokyo Marui in B. And I know that some people are going to hate that. I'm going to get, some choice comments down below. But, they've got some neat, innovative stuff. I just don't think a lot of it is super, again, competitive. The bodies tend to creak a little bit on the ones that don't have metal. Maybe I'm being a little too hard on them. Maybe we'll bump them up to an A, because they do make some neat stuff. But again, I just don't think they're S tier for the US market. So there you have it. This is how I feel about some of the biggest brands in airsoft. Make sure to let me know how you feel about this ranking. Do you think things should have been higher? Do you think they should have been lower? Make sure to let me know. And if you want to try it out for yourself, there's a link down in the description below to this template for airsoft brand rankings. A big thank you to the person who made it for me and saved me some work of putting this together myself. I'll have a link so that you can do this yourself, and credit to the original author down in the description below. And if you want to share it with me, make sure to let me know your choices over on the BB Warrior Discord server. A link for that is also in the description. Before we go, I do want to say a big thank you to our channel members who helped make this video possible. If it wasn't for their support, I wouldn't be able to continue to make airsoft videos just like this one. Channel members get really cool perks like being able to watch videos early, guaranteed spots and roast my kit, and even more. If you want to learn about that, just like everything else, it's down in the description below. My name is Lane, and I will see you all next time.